He's on trial for sex trafficking. Is that like explicitly what they're saying?
One of them, yeah.
And so far, it's only him. It's about a bad relationship or a weird abusive relationship that you've seen.
Yeah, like can they get to the point?
Well, they're showing that Cassie was booking these male escorts through like different services. And once they would get to their hotel, they would like greet them in a masquerade mask, very eyes wide shut. And then the male escort thought they were just going to do like a dance, like they were
Like a
dancing.
bachelorette party.
Yeah.
Like there was gonna be a full room of people, and then it was just two of them.
And then Diddy would be like, well, can you do this? And then the next thing you know, this escort would be having sex with Cassie with a bunch of baby oil on. They'd spend all this time because Diddy liked them shining, he liked them glistening. And then they would hand them like $4,000 and the escorts liked the money and they kept coming back. So is that I know trafficking is a very limited definition.
But it's also
by force or coercion is what his is. So if people find that
do you guys both agree on that? So far, you haven't seen coercion?
I think handing someone a stack of money is coercion.
Even if you see
escorts were saying that they enjoyed having sex with Cassie.
Yeah.
So they would
text personally all the time. Like,
and then they would get upset if Cassie didn't text back. And then they started one even fell in love with Diddy and Cassie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you could say, they could say, oh, it's Stockholm syndrome and, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Are they saying that? Yeah. Because you could see, it is a limited definition, but it's also broad. Because it's.
And I thought it was like traveling across state lines. Like you're not supposed to fly hookers across state lines.
Right. Well, yeah. Everyone knows that.
Emily was the one that was booking them. I'm like, that's where Diddy was kind of smart because he had her do all of the bookings. He didn't have his finger, just like the kid Cudi. His DNA was not on that car. It was a female DNA.
Oh, is that what we know now?
Yeah, we know that. That was brought to our attention in court.
That was objected and was strike to move. So technically it won't be counted in a testimony, but we heard it like as overflow, like we heard it as the reporters in the room.
Interesting. So what was that whole story? Because for years we've heard that Diddy blew up Kid Cudi's car.
Emily, you tell the story.
Yeah, we did hear that. And the other day, Cudi said that he had been dating Cassie for a year. He had no idea she was still with Diddy. I guess she was still kind of with Diddy at the time. He found out that they were together, and then he first broke into her house or his house. But let's just skip to the car part. It was, I think, 2012. Cudi gets a call from his dog sitter who says, your car has been set on fire. Cudi's like, what the fuck? And then, prosecutors literally said, how did you feel when you found out your car was set on fire? And Cudi goes, what the fuck? Like he was trying to be funny. Everyone laughed. And then his friend sent him pictures and someone had torched his car with a Molotov cocktail. Wow. So Porsche was completely like total, like it couldn't have been repaired. The damage, the top was ripped, the red interior had ashes everywhere. And then the next day he was like, I need to go talk to Diddy. So he had his manager, Dennis, arrange a meeting with D-Rock, Diddy's right hand. And they went to Soho House and he described walking in, Diddy staring out the glass windows with his hands behind his back like a Marvel supervillain. Another big laugh from the courtroom. Mm-hmm. And then he said that Diddy was just very, very calm and they just talked and Diddy was unaware that Cudi and Cassie had been seeing each other. And then they went to shake hands. And then as they were mid-grasp, Cudi said, all right, cool, but what we gonna do about my car? And then Diddy said, I don't know what you're talking about. And that's how they ended it. And to this day, Diddy denies involvement with the car bombing, but Cudi believes it was Diddy.
Interesting. That was interesting to see Cudi testify. I didn't expect him to testify at all.
Either.
I'm pretty surprised.
Because Cassie named him in her lawsuit. Cassie, in her lawsuit against Diddy that was settled, she talked about the car bombing. And she, in her testimony too, Cassie said that Diddy was so enraged by the relationship that he said he wanted to set Cudi's car on fire. So that's what led to Cudi being on the stand.
Well, also the fact that Cassie's parents wired Diddy $20,000 because Diddy threatened to release 2 sex tapes and assault both Cudi and Cassie if he wasn't reimbursed $20,000 for the money Diddy spent on Cassie. So Cassie's parents took a loan against their home and emailed with Diddy's bookkeeper to wire him the money. 5 days later, Diddy wired it back, didn't want that money trail. And then that this was all like staggering incidents for like a few weeks of like him threatening the car, getting blown up, the this, the that, the Soho.
Yeah.
It was all in like 1 month.
He was gonna make public sex tapes between Diddy and Cassie, or Cudi and Cassie.
Diddy and Cassie, like freak off.
Oh my!
He was going to
goodness.
release the tapes that he had been filming at the freak offs.
Jeez, do you think have the tapes come up in the trial? Like, is that evidence that the jury's gonna have to see?
I think the jury saw some stuff a few weeks ago, or a few, so it's been 2 weeks. It feels like it's been a year. There is some stuff like that it's typical, and like for Harvey Weinstein, when they showed different evidence of his private parts, that only the jury sees it or the attorneys. It's not on the screens for everyone to see. It won't be up high and it won't be shown to media. There's certainly some credentialed media who feel like they should be able to have rights to that. I'm sure TMZ is gonna do blood, sweat, and tears to get
TMZ gets everything.
Yeah. So it'll just be interesting to see who fights for that footage and who's like, it's okay, I can imagine it. Like, no need to humiliate anyone anymore.
Yeah, for real. Brianna, I believe you reported from courtrooms before. With this court case, are you seeing any like discrepancy between the corporate press and independent press and how they're reporting? Like, are they being more salacious for clicks? Or are they misreporting things?
I don't think mainstream is being salacious. I certainly see influencers being incredibly creative and successful in that endeavor. But more than anything, I'm seeing the bridge between traditional and influencers be bridged a lot more. I think people are being much more kind than they were, when I covered Ghislaine in 2021. Like if mainstream could spit on me, they would have.
Right.
And now it's a lot more friendly. That's not like, you budged me in line to be an Instagram influencer. Now people are kind of like, all right, good, respect for you. You woke up early. And so I am appreciating that.
That's good. Yeah, the culture of I'd love to hear you guys both speak about the culture outside the courtroom. I was very surprised about like line holders. I didn't know that was a thing for courtrooms. So you have had to deal with line holders. Can you tell us about what that is, why that's happening, if that's still happening, how much it is? All that good stuff.
That Brianna and I met for the first time in real life. And Brianna was sitting next to a line.
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we met for the first time.
Which is weird because we've all known each other for like a little bit now, but you've never met.
Virtual friends. 5 minutes after meeting Brianna was sobbing because she brought a sign that said, Brianna, why don't you say what your sign said?
It said reserve Brianna Logan, Substack. And then I wrote like, it is not fair for people to have to compete with the budget of big media to get a seat in the United States Court of Law. Like, I'm not competing with the New York Times' fucking budget motherfuckers. And then they were like, nice sign, no way.
All these line setters were like, who is this dumb girl? Get her out of here. And they were just
so entitled.
And then Brianna's bawling her eyes out. Then I'm like, do you want me to film this? I can should I be exploiting
this is content?
I started filming. I filmed her crying, and then we sat and we decided, well, fuck it, we're just gonna sleep in the line. I guess this is our life. But then there's one guy that gets kind of like crazy after dark. He kind of becomes a werewolf, and he gets a little bit nuts. They told us he was gonna stab us, so they told us to leave. So at 1 a.m. we left, and then the next day, this guy held our spot, and we were both able to get into the official courtroom on day one of opening statements.
Incredible.
Since then, they have been using this company called Line Dudes. It's $32 an hour, and anyone can use them to secure a spot in the line.
I would like to say two things to this. First of all, when I covered Ghislaine, once in a while, someone would get a line sitter if he needed a nap to sleep in late. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like this, it's like rampant here. Second of all, it was like $15 less a few years ago. They've upped their prices. And I know I said I'm making it 2 points. I'm actually going to make 3 points.
They're also trying to be main characters.
Yeah.
They're all trying to be main characters. And I asked them, I go, where else have you slept for? They do line stuff for restaurant reservations, for Ticketmaster. For Hamilton, I go, have you ever been to these restaurants? No. Have you been to any of the plays you sit outside for? No. These people just sleep during the day and they're up at night. It's like basically exploiting homeless people or like people who are not employable.
Wow.
Like
But I don't mind that because those people need jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally, but like then they like tell you like,
Rihanna's so against the homeless. I'm all for the
no, I'm not against the homeless. I'm against exploiting them because
Right.
it's like there are people that are just it's like
this is an opportunity, I feel like, for
you're
them.
getting paid $60 by the New York Times to do something that one of their interns doesn't want to do. The New York Times could mentor you out of your shitty situation.
They're
and
not going to do that.
I would rather the Times pay the homeless to write the articles and sit on the line than pay the journalists they have now. I'd be more interested in what the homeless have to say. Seriously, I bet it will be better. I know
really
it'll be better.
good. Honestly, I'm having a lot more fun outside the courtroom. Did you see that one video of that homeless guy that got arrested? He was saying, "Where the fuck is Meek Mill? Where the fuck is Jay-Z?" And I'm like, he was Kanye on the same Pablo tour. He was about to be like, "Jay-Z, call me, bro." Like that was the energy. And
Emily, that guy said he was also Jesus.
He also said something interesting though. What first caught my attention is he said the reason Diddy beat the shit out of Cassie in the hallway is because there was cocaine in that bag, that duffel bag, and that Cassie was stealing the drugs because that's come up in the courtroom.
Okay, that's no excuse. That's still like no excuse.
So that this guy in the street was screaming that anytime your bitch steals your coke, you gotta kick that bitch because go to prison. And it was like so insane. And then everyone's like, why are you talking to him? And then he ended up getting arrested for insanity. They put him in a 5150 hold.
Oh, I thought that guy was one of the only people speaking truth out there, except for that, beating her up part. I was like, this guy's interesting.
Said that he had to really make her know, like, you can't be carrying. I don't even know if that's true though. Like, this guy doesn't have inside info. He doesn't know if there was cocaine in that duffel bag.
Crazy people in New York shout things that are kind of true. Like yesterday, a crazy person was like, "Bitch, your ends are dry. You need hair oil and a trim." And I was like, "I do. Like I
Thank you.
do."
Yes, thank you for calling it out. Yeah, I think the homeless people, especially schizophrenic homeless people, are tapped into a higher reality.
I agree.
And can see it. They just can't translate it that well to us because it's so much happening. Like I've had a few schizophrenic friends. One in particular who was extreme, like not on meds, and he would he would just break out of his facility, and I would just talk to him on the streets. And I'm like, this guy's a poet and a prophet, and
they are. They're really artistic too.
He totally understood the world, and reality and relationships, power, politics in a way that I'm still thinking about. And that was like 15 years ago. Like he knew a lot of stuff, and maybe I might be contagious. Like I might have a little bit of it now, but I think they're tapped into it. So all right.
Everyone keeps saying like, why is Emily always going live with mentally ill people? And I was like, because I am mentally ill. Duh.
Yeah.
No, because you're in New York.
Look at us. What are you trying to say?
Someone was like, why are you giving these people airtime? And I was like, why should I only be giving like mediocre people airtime?
I think
these people are I like people that are very like at the top and very at the bottom. The middle is boring.
I'm with you. That's why I love seeing you guys being outside the courtroom and sharing what's going on out there, because that is to me as important.
That's the culture to me.
Right. And honestly, and not like in a weird way, it reminds me of the weirdness of something like when Ted Bundy was executed, people lined up outside the prison and like barbecued and sold merchandise. There's something very strange in humanity that like becomes a parasite to a situation, right? Like just random people and sick people, passersby, they just want to be a part of it in some way. Celebrate it, grieve it, they have something to say. And then the media throughout it. It says a lot about society.
Even that entertainment reporter, that guy was like yelling at her.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Like,
I did see that.
That got arrested was like yelling at the Entertainment Tonight reporter. And like people were like, he's so mean to women. But I just asked him, hey, do you think Diddy's a fad? And he answered my question fine. Like I feel like your energy and how you treat these people is what they give back to you. And a lot of the mainstream news anchors are so scared of the line sitters, and they won't even go near them. And I'm like, you guys are missing out on. And that's why they missed out on the big protester expose. I got the story because these people were too afraid to go talk to the weird homeless people that showed up in wrinkly Gildan t-shirts.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because these news anchors are so scared of these like whack jobs, they're missing out, I think, on a little bit of opportunity to explore what like this weird shift is happening outside.
Yeah. I mean, as difficult as it is to be independent, like, and you guys are truly independent writers, you got your Substacks, it offers you this ability to like kind of swerve around the situation. Those people are in a silo at
Yeah.
you name the brand, they're there. They have to say a specific type of story, and it can't really deviate too much.
They can't deviate at all.
Right, but the deviations are what make the stories important and more relatable, because that's what everyone's witnessing in the world, all the things in the periphery, you know?
That's why I'm like, without the chaos outside and like the whispers in the elevators, everyone will just have the same story.
Right.